I'm just going to do a quick update on the markets coming into the last 2 weeks of the third month of 2019. So it's going to take a while for certain things to play out. In the big picture, this is the monthly dollar index. Everybody's familiar with the dollar index. A lot of people look at this as some type of component of analysis. I'm going back to 2011, but I'm actually going to just mark off the latest, most dramatic price pulse that we have currently. This is an astounding move. Ran out of buyers up here, and the sellers came in here, gobbled it up, brought it back into this point. And now we're kind of in this, we're in the middle of this box, so it means that, and it's at 95 cents. Here is the dollar for a dollar, I'm guessing. We could all say that's like par or something. In the very long run, I don't have a yearly chart, but we are above this price now. Like, this is a real big support area. In the big, as the further out you go, this double top, 2008 to 2009, became support. In the big picture, I mean, these are really long-term projections that you would do on a monthly, weekly basis. People that don't want to overtrade would. Now, it could go either way here because we're inside this box right now. So it doesn't mean too much to me how I would trade other currencies because, these aren't going to move in sync. Just because the dollar index is going down doesn't mean that your euro's going to go up against the dollar. Not in perfect sync. You may say in the long run, oh, look at, but don't forget there's a lot of times when everything's moving in concert. And on a minute by minute basis, they're probably syncing and desyncing all the time. So I just don't know how that's some type of rule of thumb people use. I don't know. People have all sorts of schemes. Okay, so I'm just going to jump around these currency pairs. So the dollar index is always this one. People, they look to that as like, this is home base. This is them. Okay, here's the infamous euro dollar finally retracing. And this is why I think the dollar is going down. And, because dollar index could roll over there, fall out of the middle of fair value, start going for the lows. Now I'm going to be buying this all night long. I'm just kind of trying to buy it when I have a chance to pull a trigger here. So we finally got above 16,000 here, and I've been buying, like selling the dollar, I guess, whenever I see an opportunity. Primarily buying the British pound against the yen is not the same as buying it against the dollar because they're out of sync. The British pound is more bullish in this moment, or it's a better buying opportunity in this moment than the pound yen. So I could have made more money last week if I just focused on the pound. But people say, hey, can you look at the pound yen, and I start trading it. So there's other things like people get sucked into shitty trades because people say, oh, that looks like a good idea. Like I remember when I dated that kind of girl, the blue eyes and the blonde hair, and then I said, well, blue eyes and brunette, that's kind of it. Maybe he's doing blue eyes, brunette. Maybe I should. That didn't work out for me either, huh? Maybe I oversized the position, right? I bought her too many shoes. So I do think that's a big trap, is to think the grass is greener on the other side, but it's twice as hard to mow, or it may not even. It may be too tall to mow, and that's a big kind of trap. Oh, this is the string to trade. Now, I did say those. So here's the. I'm actually in this trade. This is the Australian dollar, and look how this popped, and something happened over here. And you know what people are going to say about this? I'm not even kidding you. See? It's because of that 49 dead people. I'm telling you. People are going to make that, they're going to make that connection. But I do think, like I said, this currency, I talked about it on the last thing. If you look at the monthly, you have to ask yourself, is this a trap? Or this is a conclusion you would come to. Somebody asked me about scaling into these plunges, how it's not working. It's either because you got your orders too close together, or the tickets are too big, your stops are too tight, you don't like being underwater through a swing, so you probably shouldn't trade that style. Like if you're losing money doing something, then you have to ask yourself, is it because your stop's too tight, or because you have no patience to be underwater till it becomes profitable? So if you put a 300 pip stop on 100K and you're down $5,000 or whatever, you're waiting for this thing to come back, and then you would maybe freak out and be like, God, I mean, I'm just getting out right here because obviously I'm on the wrong side of the market. It's not about the system you're trading. It's about how do you feel about having your nuts hanging out the window at 110 miles an hour in a sandstorm. Like, I mean, if you don't like to be in pain, then don't trade. But you got to figure that out. I mean, the person that asked me that, I would have to say, you got to do a video. You've got to make your case for trading the market. That's why you trade a demo. And that's why you trade many demos. And that's like why you would have to really be a trader. If you got sick of trading, like if you wanted to say do cross stitch, right? You wanted to count, take a piece of cloth and count how many stitches and go, okay, I'm going here, but you have to have the patience to cross stitch for 1,000 hours to come up with something that looks amazing that you would hold on to for maybe, hopefully more hours than it took you to make it. I think this thing about people wanting to connect geopolitics, fundamentals, technical analysis, Bollinger Bands, everything lines up, this should happen, is just so terrible. As far as this guy kept saying outcome. It's a beneficial outcome. These kind of abstract things that people say about stuff. Okay, well, that's a reasonably good outcome, or that's the correct moral outcome, or that's this, all the judgments. So if you're judging everything on that while you're trading, then if you're making money from bad decisions or totally researched decisions, that's not going to make sense to you, and you're probably not going to be able to accept trades that if you can make money in the options market, you'd realize that the direction of the market that has nothing to do with making money. But that goes against conventional rational thought. So you have to come to grips with that. That some of what you're doing to make money is accidental if you are position size coherent. So you could get into a trade that's not the greatest trade in the world and even add to a loser incrementally and say, you have to forgive yourself for getting in at the market like a over-eager person if you trade at the market. So trading at the market also is a whole nother world, because what you're saying is, at this moment in time, this is the correct thing to do. When we all know that maybe procrastination is the best thing to do. So you're making money from procrastinating in a way. So this is another thing that's very psychologically demanding. It makes no sense, right? You mean to tell me if I postpone this decision, things even get better? Because you've been told your whole life that, these motivational books and stuff. I read all this bullshit. I actually went to Tony Robbins classes. Take action today. Start your life off on a good path. Become an investor. Dude, a lot of stuff involved in this market involves doing nothing. It's like money in the bank. If you don't know what to do, don't do anything yet. I mean, just because you have a dick, you're not going to go out and bang everything that's walking down the street. Go to jail, right? So Just because you have a mouse you can click and buy all these fucking currency pairs. And, I got 17 currency pairs. The guy, I was like 17 currency pairs. Dude. Well, if you're not trading 17 currency pairs, you're just not a trader. So it's really very disturbing for somebody that wants to be busy and feel engaged and want to say, well, it's like a real job, man. I got to be doing something. But on the level you're doing that, when it becomes okay to be in a very, very small position, and that's the only answer. If you have a fear of missing out, the only cure for that is to get a very, very small position, put it on, and just go, okay. And then you'll realize, if you're really honest with yourself, that if you're down 40 cents on that trade, how does that feel? If you're down $4 on that trade, you're in a 1K, you're down $4. Now you're down $40. Okay, you're down 400 pips. How do you feel about that? Here's a contest. Put $100 in an account. Trade with 1Ks without stops, and just let the trade go. You're allowing yourself a lot of room to wrestle with being a loser. You gotta be a loser. This idea that because you read all these fucking books and you draw all these lines and it's just gonna ever save you from being a total fucking loser is ridiculous. But nobody wants to coach anybody of how to be a loser so they can be a winner. No, come to our thing because we want to show you how to win. It's just completely fucking harebrained, and people love that shit. Let me show you how to lose weight. But Ayn Rand would flip that. She'd flip that around. She would say something like, show me how to be fit. It's not showing me how. It's like, she always there's two ways to look at that. Are you going to show me how to lose weight? Or are you going to show me how to gain muscle? I mean, are you going to, it's like, are you fit or are you fat? So are you trading like, well, see, once you're, I guess once you can let go of this idea that there's some type of consistent, I guess that's the other thing I'm against, the consistency. Are you a consistent trader? Well, if you're consistently approaching the market, it's completely different than consistent profits. So I think people misconstrue that being a consistent trader, the consistency is the key. It's not consistent wins, it's just consistent approach. Same approach, and always the same gut feeling that you probably have until some point it becomes numb to you of, is this a good trade to be in? It's not really I guess if you're okay with that question and it keeps on motivating you and that's how you're making money, then okay, it's okay to have these kind of uncomfortable feelings and you're still making money, but you're never going to be free from that uncomfortable feeling because it's trading's only revealing this discomfort, because trading is the only thing that you don't really have any way to stop the market from moving against you or even for you. You have literally the market doesn't know you exist, which is really tough for people that make a living by a firm handshake and a certain look in the eye. It's not good for people that want to argue and make their arguments and stuff like that and persuade, and the market just doesn't know you exist. It has no respect for your trend lines, for your moving averages. I mean, this idea it has respect is just, people are just projecting how they wish the market would behave. And so all these things are just so tough to take, and I guess that's why it'll seem when you make it okay for the market to do what it wants, that it doesn't have to really play out the way you envision it, then it becomes this kind of relationship where it's a one-way street, but you're okay with that relationship. It's just not a two-way street. There is no fucking way that the market is going to even care the fuck about the news. I've seen the market move. Well, people will say, we didn't think the market would react the way it did to that news. That's actually good news for that thing. Well, maybe the market is moving, and then people have to write a story about that move. So if the market went up, they'd say, well, gosh, this is like, and then people would spin it. As you can only imagine how they'd spin any other event that you've ever seen happen. So people will always spin it to their advantage. And so if the market goes up, they'll say, well, that's not because of what Trump did. That's because of what the market is lagging, responding to the last socialist president. And so it's playing catch up. And can't you see that eventually, like this guy that I was talking to, you can see how he sees the world, is that he's saying, I bet you any amount of money that the market's going to move, and there'll probably see some news that'll come out about it. Well, of course, because people want to attach a reason to it. This is why you have these conspiratorial fucknuts that think that, the government did this and John Kennedy and 9/11 towers, because they can't believe that the world is as boring as it is and things just fucking happen. They want to attach meaning to it because for the market to move like that, tell me what happened? What happened? Well, that's just the market doesn't care what happened, and the prices don't care what happened, and whether you're in that trade or not, the market doesn't kind of be like moving without you and going, see, I tricked you. Oh, look, that's a key level, and the bankers are trying to fake you out, and they're stop hunting you. But this is all a psychological. That's conspiracy meets forex trading, right? The mindset that stuff doesn't just happen there. Somebody set him up. This is a false flag. I mean, this whole kind of people can't accept that people just do shit. Now, if you have to process that in a way that makes it okay for you to go to the store and get your groceries, okay, or you want to believe in Jesus Christ Superstar, if that keeps you from killing me or robbing me, then go for it. But if you want to get a grip, as they used to say, on reality, you just have to realize that a lot of that stuff is from people that have too much spare time, maybe. So let's just go, I don't know if that helps. Let's go through the markets here. But I'm just going to take this kind of blatant view of what I perceive where we're at, structurally speaking. So it's kind of a structured trading style, really. Somebody says, what you're doing is grid trading. Well, from the standpoint that I've seen grid trades with stop entry, but as far as the market moving in price grids, that's also somewhat illusionary, because I do think the only thing that explains this is auction theory. In other words, once you bid something to the point where if you go to an auction, the guy will say going, gone. So there is a threshold for a price, and once we get to that threshold, and there is nobody else, and the market's been satisfied. The whole reason the auction was held is to kind of get this price in other words, to get people to transact. Because if you were to close the markets and try to stop it from happening, or put price freezes or price caps on things, eventually nature finds a way. And if you try to build a sidewalk, the weeds will come through. It's hard to stop stuff growing, just a natural thing. For other people that believe that Fibonacci is some type of, golden ratio, well, the true golden, I guess, principle is that this shit's going to happen. There's going to be cracks in the concrete, and there's going to be nature's, abhors a vacuum. So if you have a void, there's going to be a sinkhole. Go to Florida, there'll be a sinkhole. Like, wow, that's a crazy thing. Yeah, because there's pockets. There's pockets that need to be filled. That's the only thing that explains this market behavior to me. Is like, this is a pocket here, and that's just how it is. So we're looking to fill these pockets, and how many times do we dip before we cave in? There is the first kind of crack, and then things kind of slow down, and then it creaks, and then finally, bam, and then the pressure's relieved, and then we see the pendulum swing the other way. And this is where people will say, well, yeah, it was already priced in the market. There's always to kind of fix the terrible information Oh yeah, well they thought that's because that happened, and then they found out it was true. So see, now the chart is in sync with fundamentals. Therefore, these are ridiculous things. I mean, if it was the price, you can always say if you don't like the move, oh, it's priced in the market. If you do like the move, see, there you go. News, look, it's fundamental move. You're just, it's ridiculous. You might as well be a T-read reader. Everything you hear about that, and of course, at what point do you, if that's true and the fundamentals are true and the market's moving that way, do we just all jump on that? Is this a trend now? Do we all jump on that, or is this just a relief moment? That's never explained. People say this is what caused this currency to do this. Okay, well, at what point do you take this fundamental news that everybody's aware of? And there was this guy that kept sending me a request to sign up for his, well, we wait for the big boys to move and then we jump on the train. Okay, so all you're saying is that you have to find some slot after the volatility dies down. Those people believe that the market makes a big move, the volatility dives down. Okay, now you get in. So you're really saying that, in essence, you're a breakout trader or so-called trend continuation trader. You're saying you wait till things kind of calm down, they get in, you know. Or as Akil Stokes famously said, well, thank God that news didn't destroy our chart. Because, you know, his utopian Gartley pattern was, well, that's fucked up. Now we can't, it just negated our trade. Now, why the fuck would that negate your trade? I mean, this is your trade, not the market's trade. I like how people want to, oh, see, well, that's just, we can't get in. We don't have a pin bar. What fucked up? This is so fucked up. It's like, yeah, I'm dating women, but, you know, I'm waiting for one with penny loafers. Well, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then you're hoping you can help people trade better when most people are just scared the fuck out of losing money or they wouldn't be trying to make it. The paradox of you trying to make fucking money trading means that obviously you don't think you have enough money. And now you're just going to be like trying so hard to make money, trying so hard to pick up a girl. And I just got this. No, all the girls can just smell that I'm desperate. Well, the market can't, like I said, fortunately, the market doesn't know you exist. So the market doesn't know how desperate you are to make money. Because why would you even want to bother with all this shit if you weren't trying to make money? So you're caught in the paradox. Well, you got it. It's like the only way to attract a girl is to act like you don't care or just act gay, I suppose. The gay guys have the hottest chicks hanging out around them because they're not trying to get, they're no threat. And it was a bad metaphor for the market because the market doesn't know you exist. But you can play little games, head games with the market. You can tell yourself stories about the market that maybe will get you through the fear of trading. You can reframe it. It's just like you'd have to reframe. If you were raped as a young person, you'd probably have to, let's say I'm just going to keep buying this too. This one I can write tighter stops because this thing barely moves. But you can just reframe your old trades and go, okay, most people will reframe their old trades that they didn't like as a learning experience. So you can do anything you want. Fuck, there's people reading the Bible that believe it. So, you know, anything goes. It looks like dollar CAD can continue tanking. Going back to, my stochastics worked out perfectly here. Stochastics set it standard has called the top here beautifully in the daily CAD. And now I wouldn't buy it here because it's down here because to me it looks like it's going to keep tanking. It looks like the dollar is going to tank against the yen a little bit here on the 1 hour chart. I'm going to go larger time frames. It looks like, so now I'm very bullish the dollar against the yen on the weekly. I'm just going to go through the weeklies and I just wrap this up. So there's people, I have too many incomplete sentences that are probably going to get blurted out. Oil, I do think is going through the roof. Here's the pullback in the 4 hour. And obviously the sellers came in. I think this is the unstoppable Molly Brown here. And then I do think the S&P is going to go through the void. So I didn't even look at it until I was talking to the Eurodollar guy because I really don't look at all these in-depth things. And he's doing the indexes. Low frequency traders, you know, that hold shit would probably want to think about the These things, here we go. We're going to go through the window. We're stepping through the window. And it's just sheer up from now. There's nothing stopping the S&P 500. I mean, well, other than this is going to be a contention. This price here, I believe. But after that, seriously, this is no shoulder. I don't think that's a shoulder. If it goes down, people say that's the shoulder for this head. You know, this is the claim, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder. So that's possible, not possible. I do think that's not a shoulder. I do think palladium is leading the way into major inflation. This Dash coin looks like it's about to go up. Bitcoin looks like it's going up. Whatever the fuck this is. I got into some crazy stuff here. It's all going up. Let me go back to the majors here. So Australian dollar is cutting north tonight, and they're hunting down the looks like the weekly. They just took out a 2-week high coming into tonight. So I'm going to buy this at the market. I'm up $120. I'm up to $1,600, and I'm up $6,100 in this account. Trading with stops. The pound's about to step through the window here. I think the dollar's just going to get creamed. It's obvious. You can say what you want about the Brexit. Oh, look, they finally voted. You know, how do you explain all this shit back here? I mean, are these all votes that we could fundamentally make a claim? It looks like we have to wait for this to come down before it goes up. I don't really see you could say the same thing about the guppy on the daily as the British pound on the daily. Problem is that sometimes just because you're long the pound doesn't mean that the pound yen can't come back and bite you. So I don't know if that helps, but it's a mental thing. The size you're in, or that you're in at all. You're trading a demo, you probably feel like, gosh, how long am I going to sit here and practice and back test my thing? And maybe you do have to back test. I'm just not a big back test fan because I like to forward test either the demo or real money. And it's not this test that you're taking that means that after that you'll never learn another thing trading or anything ever again. Like, it's really to learn how you process the world, and then maybe you're wrong because maybe you're holding on to a belief system that is totally incompatible with trying to land a plane that you don't own or don't even fly. It's like trading would be like you trying to build a runway at the right altitude for a plane that you don't even know how it's going to land. Pretty tough, you know. So maybe you want to build like 5 runways, and they're soft runways, and they're built to, if you have an erratic plane that's trying to land, you can't control the guy flying the plane, so you can't control the market. You have to find a way to coexist with the market so that you take advantage of the way it typically behaves erratically. It goes from a quiet situation to a very loud situation, and most people don't have the dynamic range psychologically or able to adjust the size to keep the actual financial drawdowns and draw ups. In other words, the equity fluctuation, to be psychologically okay with a certain amount of equity fluctuation. And so once the pain goes away from that, and the need for making the right call. So people would say, good call, and I'm not crazy about people saying you made the right call there, because I just could have been wrong. But if I have a series of stops or a small enough account that it's not a financial thing, right? And I'd say the call could be, in other words, I think to make the call as far where the price is going, the people that can make really good calls are saying, I think it's going to happen very quickly, and that could be it. It could just pop the cork, and that moves over, and it could reverse after that. So there could be this okay, we dipped into this price window, and wow, there is quite a bit of interest, and there's a lot of people running for cover. The mob is the price is an expression of people participating in manipulating the price. So the price needs to be manipulated. That's a good thing. It's just how quickly does it happen? Because you could be seriously up in the position and think, wow, I'm just going to let my profits run, and then completely crushed in Forex, only because once that thing has been filled, and of course the slow move into the target that you perceived, or the next level of support resistance, what if it's a slow move there? It's different than if it's a fast, because not only are you trying to, once you get good at this, you would just say, okay, I can see what's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen quickly as opposed to slowly. Those, you're winning, but right, you made the call, amazing call. But if it doesn't get there fast enough, some people are just going to say, I'm up on the trade and this is just taking too fucking long, and they're not losing, they're leaving some money on the table, but they're also wrapping up margin in a trade that maybe is not their style of trading. So you have to find out whether you can handle these fluctuations, and that's why you would trade a demo and look at the thing and ask yourself, could I handle this actual volatility, financial fluctuation? That's really going to be at the core. Can I handle that? And then if you say no, I'd rather just focus on scalping and taking 3-hour trades that make X, whether it's $300 or $3,000, whatever that number is for you, what you consider to be money, because that's what it's going to come down. What do you call money? Some people say $100 is just like, well, that's just, I'm using that $100 a day to live on. It's cost me $100 a day to live. What does it cost you to live every day? And how much a percentage of that are you willing to donate to making it okay to lose whatever dollars a day? You have to make it okay to be a loser. And even if it's you're just 10% loser. I mean, this idea that it's an all or nothing thing is also tied to trading, where people are like, well, it's either going up or down, pick a direction. Well, is it okay to be 20% right? Or is it okay to be in a 10% up and 90% down? Well, yeah, that's why they have hedge funds. People don't like that. No, I want something that, what's the best? Not to mention, they just don't want binary. They want like the best of that. The finely tuned, totally adjusted. But this is just not how trading would be, because the market's just too dynamic for people to, most people to typically have some size adjustment. You know, can you be the guy that rides a bicycle that weighs like 10 pounds and still ride a motorcycle that weighs X? Well, maybe you could, but you'd have to keep jumping on the bike, jump on the motorcycle, get in a car, drive a truck, go back to your book. You're driving vehicles, but most people pick a size, they get good at it, but the market doesn't let you do that. Unless you're going to go shopping for currency pairs that are quiet, and now you have to have a whole different scanning approach. But it's a bottomless pit of approach. There's no one style, one way to trade that people could all feel comfortable doing. So you still are stuck being a human being. You can't just, and I guess it's the only point of building a expert advisor robot to trade the MT4 is that it looks at the market clinically. And maybe it doesn't do that great because it can't see the big picture or the big voids or what could happen or what is the composite view. As you see Palladium make historical highs, that is the leading edge of all things I know on the planet right now. I haven't looked at every instrument on the planet, but it doesn't take much. You know, it's the canary in a coal mine. It doesn't take much to tip the hand of inflation. And that's always been this huge nagging, when's it going to happen? Like, when's that next earthquake? And this could be it. I don't want to say I got a crystal ball, but I'll tell you, I was telling somebody last night as I was I think over too much alcohol to blood ratio. And I said, there's something going on. I mean, we have sat here in a stagnation of no inflation. And here we go. It's going to be 1,500 and then 1,700 and 2,000. And they'll chase that thing. And the fear that there's scarcity fears come in. And then you see, Bitcoin goes up. That's inflationary. The face value shit going up. The stock market goes up. Crude oil goes up. Everybody's rich, supposedly. In other words, everything's good. But guess what? The market has adjusted. And inflation will auto-adjust. All the quantitative easing is going to come home to roost. Not in a brutally, I think it's going to be a slow drift up, but it's going to commence. And as you get into 2020, the only thing the Democrats could possibly, and they're really I think most of these Democrats have no concept of Austrian economics and how the real world responds to, how a physical fact the world responds to pressure. You can only push so far, and people say, God, I can't believe this thing is broke. There's a lot of things you can buy in this world. They say, this is only good for that, but you can stretch it way beyond the specs. So we've stretched this way beyond the specifications. And once the cascading effect starts, gold goes up, platinum goes up, all these other metals chase, lead, tin, silver, nickel, and they all start to go, and then you have the kind of snowball down a hill effect. I just think it's going to be something else because, the people that are born in the last, people that are 20 years old probably won't even notice too much. It depends when you're born. It's like my parents used to say, they are from the Depression era, so the people that lived through the Depression became very tight, real tightwads, and there was a good reason for that because they still have post-traumatic market crash syndrome. But not everybody was in the market, and some people shorted it. Some people could see the irrational exuberance, euphoria, and it's going to be the next. It's probably the funnest time to be alive as far as this giant circus of, an instant world where, and that's another thing that could cause some serious volatility is the instantaneousness of the aha moment is very quick now. And the chasing of this and that, and I suppose, it's out of the government's hands. The idea that the government's running the show is completely ridiculous. What it is just like Mother Nature's way of proceeding with everything's. You can't stop it. All the regulation in the world can't stop it. That delays the inevitable. Trying to hold prices down to make it so poor people can buy shit, and printing money so that people that the people on the lower rungs of life are supported by a welfare state. Then that becomes a system that you game. How to game a system, I was talking to some people how systems are gamed, and they said, there's already a fix for that. I was talking to somebody about the AR-15. Somebody told me about the AR-15. Well, it's really just the mechanism in the middle that's got the serial number. The whole housing around it is not even illegal. The gun without the drop thing or something is not even. It's just amazing. People have got workarounds for everything, and people just find a way. And money will find a place to run to. It's probably going to leave New York. And when the inflation comes, you can only imagine what's going to happen to all these people that are living in this kind of bizarre, fragile, utopian San Francisco where the streets are just, forget the streets have no name. The streets are just, you can't really even, it's kind of sad. I mean, this kind of entitled to just be a complete, I mean, once you give people money like that, it's just entitled. They're entitled. because you've just started this relationship with them, feeding them. It's hard to get rid of these people. It's like a puppy dog that comes to your house. First time you feed, if you feed any animal, you're in. I think it's gonna be a show. Now, if you're lonely, I get it. If you're a lonely liberal, yeah, you're gonna be like, here, come into my thing. I got money now. I can buy friends, and I mean, that's what Michael Jackson did. He's like, oh my God, I mean, he just wanted a friend. He just wants somebody to talk to that doesn't see me as Michael Jackson. Well, you know what? You can't. You went and made yourself. You're fucked. So a lot of people dress in disguise, and to make money in the forex market, it's the only way you can really be. Unfamous people can make money. So it's the thing. People that want to be rock star money, all the ads or all the people that are trying to lure people into trade forex, they're always with dollar bills, hot chicks, Tom Vu, nice cars, and that somehow is the allure. Like somehow that's the answer is to have money. You can be happy. If you don't have some bad disease, you're typically happy. So you have to really approach the trading as you don't need the money. Let's just see how this goes. Let's not get too worried about outcome empowerment, or whatever these silly phrases are that people throw out. Just speak fucking normal, goddamn English, goddamn it. People have these, they call them memes now, but this just trite cliches that's just like, that's what Obama ran on. You could throw up. Just speak platitudes, just completely unspecific bullshit platitudes. But that's how they do it with, let your profits run. Shut the fuck up, let your profits run. Which profits? The dollar profits? Or the fact that the trades, you're up on the trade. Okay, you're up on the trade. What does that mean? Well, how much you up? And are you up too much? Should you get out here? Should you take the money and run? In most respects, you should take the fucking money and run, so you can also raise your hit rate, so you can also pad your account for the next fucking stupid trade you're going to put on. Anyways, I'll go on forever with this bullshit. So, yeah, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. Forget what I said.